Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today at Publicis Commerce on the I Could Buy That series. We want to keep this concise, so let me remind you of the rules of the game before we get started. First, we invite a credible guest to share their thoughts that'll hopefully expand the way we look at the world of commerce. This month's guest is Guy Keeling from Barilla. In fact, we have him for a double feature. Second, we ask them to open with their thesis in one short sentence to set the stage. Chances are this is something you hadn't been thinking that requires a bit of explanation. And finally, we ask them to deliver 3 data points to back this thesis so that we can look at the industry a bit differently. So we have Guy with us today. Hi, Guy. How are you doing?
Hi, Ali. Thank you very much indeed for inviting me along to this.
Oh, it's our pleasure. We booked you for the whole hour. We want to have you back to back. We're the ones who are honored to have you here. So if you could tell us a bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Guy Keeling. I run the e-commerce business in Barilla. So you'll probably know us as a pasta company. I'm flying the flag today. We're the world's biggest pasta company. We're privately owned, but we're also one of Europe's biggest bakery businesses. About half our business is still in Italy. The rest of it is around the world. And we are growing rapidly in many markets and categories. And we see e-commerce as one of those channels where we can not just sell our stuff online, but really generate and create a new relationship around the role that our products and categories have in the lives of the consumers, getting much closer to those consumers, much closer to those points and those moments, and really creating some powerful experiences that take us to another level. So a lot of my work at the moment is spent really thinking hard about how do we do that? How do we create the opportunities within our business to move quickly in this digital space? It's incredibly exciting, and you'll be pleased to know, I'm sure, that many of the people listening to this within Publicis are connected and involved in some of that work. So great opportunity for me to thank you all for your hard efforts.
Awesome. One thing that you just said that really stuck with me was we're not just selling stuff online. Although e-commerce is a big opportunity for our growth moving forward, we're not just selling stuff online. We want to be creating experiences for people.
Absolutely.
It's very much speaking of the future of our industry. A lot of us are trying to just be present and performant on Amazon, and that would be a win in itself. But you seem to be speaking about something well beyond that. So if you could give us a bit of, how did you get to this point of e-commerce maturity? What's your experience with e-commerce?
Yeah, sure. So I was very lucky. 23 years ago, I was at Procter & Gamble in sales and marketing roles. And we were at that stage very much at the forefront of helping retailers rethink their business in the very, very nascent digital age. So if you think what we used to do in those early times with diaper sales, a lot of diaper sales went from buying a single pack in a supermarket to buying a month's worth delivered to you on a subscription model. And that's a massive shift. It's from a product to a service. And that was 20 or more years ago. So when I came to Barilla about 8 years ago, we were obviously within the food sector. The food sector is somewhat behind diapers, pet care, health and beauty, cosmetics, fashion. Many other verticals have got into e-commerce in a much earlier stage. And if I look at many of the brands and companies that we most admire, 30, 40, even 50% of their sales now are online. For us, it's less than 5%. So we're at an earlier stage. We don't have to invent this stuff. We can absolutely look at what other people are doing and doing well. Right from the very beginning, my role has been build that capability, build those people, build that team, but very, very clearly point them in the right direction. And I've been very, very clear right from the beginning, we have to think differently. We have to find a way, not just, as you said, of thinking about this as a shift in sales, but think about it as an opportunity to redefine the relationships that we build, the experiences that we offer, and using the full power of digital through e-commerce. And I'm really excited now that most of our biggest customers, Carrefour, Walmart, great examples, Esselunga in Italy, they are really, really serious now about what they are trying to do in a digital sense. And we can work with them very, very broadly. And we talk a lot more about omni-channel than we used to, I think. Omni-channel, trying to redefine this sort of very broad, well before the point of purchase, during the point of purchase, after the point of purchase, the whole of the consumer decision journey. How do we work with our customers to change that conversation that the retailers are able now to have with their consumers, that we're able to have with our consumers, and that's tremendously exciting.
So you speak about all this change, and I know Barilla is 144 years old.
Right. Yeah.
And the Barilla e-commerce, at least your time there, is 8 years old. So you've had to probably make some decisions. And I know you and I have spoken privately with Tara as well, about some of the decisions that you've made. First, when you talk about how you've built your team, it's a team built in 2021, I believe, right? What are the learnings that you have? Like, how are you putting these things together? What are your priorities?
Yeah, good question. So the start point for me was to create belief and commitment amongst the senior team, and to try and encourage them to put people, and indeed ideally trying to get some of our best people focused in this area. And I strongly believe that if you're going to build your career over the next 10, 15 years, you have to have digital experience. You have to be involved in digital. And this is a great time to be involved in it. So getting the right people in the right place. We now have over 50 people working on e-commerce around the world in 30 markets. But it started off literally with parts of people. Mm-hmm. So I had very, very small teams. And when you have only parts of people, what you want to do really is to try and make that bit the best part of that week, the best part of that month. And that means that they can only do particular things. So what you absolutely don't want to do is to stretch them too thin. So recognizing that there was a real economy of effort, that we were only able to spend a particular amount of effort, what do you get them to do? Well, you make them do the very few things brilliantly that are going to make the biggest bang, the biggest impact. And I talk about that as a concentration of effort. So we start off with recognizing that we are resource constrained, and then we focus that effort in absolutely the right places. A very good example might be the work we did over the Christmas period, the Andestella Christmas omnichannel activations, which were enormous, really fantastically executed piece of work. We did a really nice piece of work with your group called Carbonara. Not so much e-commerce, but a digital activation. Again, really focusing our resources on doing one thing and doing it absolutely brilliantly. And that was a video short, a short film, turned into a short film of more than 10 minutes long, and changes the game in terms of brand communication. Very soft brand communication, but really intriguing. And a third good example is the work that we've done, you've done with us on the Spotify playlist over the last few weeks as well. So there's quite a lot happening, but they are very sharp, hard, well concentrated, well designed pieces of energy and effort, and we strongly believe that that's beginning to change the game for us.
So one thing that I get, I have two questions, but they both emanate from the same word. It seems as though curation is very much part of your role.
Right. Yes.
So the first one is curation of talents. So I'd be really curious to know, like, the roles that you're bringing in, because you can bring them all in your team of 50. And the second is the curation of tactics. And I definitely want to talk about Carbonara, but yeah, so the curation of talent, which are you bringing in?
Yeah, so we've tried a number of different things. We've tried external hires, thinking great way to bring digital talent into the business. We've tried sales folks who have got instinctively very good customer and account management skills. We've tried digital natives. We've tried old folks who've got a broader set of skills. I would say that the two things that are the standout theme between those people who succeed in this environment and those people that don't. One is boundless energy. You can't train it. Some people have got it, some people haven't, but boundless energy, the ability to be able to take knocks, the ability to be able to generate ideas, the ability to be able to get up every day and make a difference. So energy. And I think that the second one is a solid base of marketing skills. And many of our top performers have come from a marketing background, at least a spell within the marketing community. And many of them have been marketing professionals. And that sense of delivering quality, the sense of intellectual rigor and building strong arguments, and really being curious and challenging. I think those are super marketing based skills which belong very, very well within this environment.
Got it. Yeah, so it seems as though you are bringing some of these classic talents with the digital ones that you have between the data science, the tracking, the analysis that must be there already in the e-commerce practice, but that instinct that you speak about probably brings it all together.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of bringing it all together, I watched Carbonara, and I do want to discuss this with you. I'm very surprised that as an e-commerce lead, that this is something that you vouch for and speak very highly of, because a lot of your colleagues, a lot of your peers, folks at the bottom of the funnel, they would probably speak about their biggest trophy is probably a banner that converted really well, or a promotion that did a bit better than the last one. And you're speaking about an 11-minute Hollywood-looking film, but like a long-form story. And your economy of effort, concentration of force mentality that do few things, you prize this as one of the few things that was worthwhile. Like, how you're talking top of funnel and you're an e-commerce guy, like what's happening there?
We're developing a journey. So we've been, we for 100, well, since TV was invented, not 140 years ago, since TV was invented, we've been famous as a brand for making beautiful TV ads. And to some extent, that still, that attitude still prevails within the business. And what we did this year was we really changed the way that we are orientated. We changed ourselves and our mindsets away from 15 and 30-second, fairly formulaic. We know that this works because it's always worked, and we turned that into something which was really significantly different. What you're gonna see us do next year is to take that journey and to get it closer and closer to the point of purchase. And carbonara is a fantastic challenge for us. It's made up of a number of different ingredients which exist all over the store. It would take you 5, 6, 7 minutes to walk around the store with a basket and put all of those ingredients in one. How can we do that within an e-commerce and digital environment? And that's our challenge. So I think what we've shown this year is bet on us because we can do things well and we can do things very, very differently. Where I want us to develop that is how do we start moving the way that we knock that ball into the goal in the omni-channel world. So not just thinking top and bottom of funnel, but thinking total funnel. That's really where we want to be playing, and that's where the retailers want to be working too. But not just the traditional omni-channel retailers, but also some of the more pure play content based retailers who are tremendously exciting to work with.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to summarize this for our listeners. What you're telling us is that e-marketers should be taking a concentration of force mindset, because as you move into digital commerce, you want to be using modern tactics like, yes, social listening and data science, but merge them with the instinct of a marketer, the instinct of someone who feels a sale, who knows exactly how to go about it, who knows how to tell a narrative. Second, you have to be honest with yourself about the resources available to you. As you mentioned, you're running global e-commerce with 50 people. And then lastly, even when you're making big bets, building a journey, it's about doing fewer things well.
Yeah, very well said.
Yeah. So considering this, and honestly, I wasn't exaggerating before, you are a bit of an outlier amongst your peers. What do you believe your haters would say when you say, it's about fewer things better? What would the opposing opinion be?
Yeah, I mentioned I was at P&G. Between leaving P&G and joining Barilla, I worked in a number of startups, and both the excitement, the highs and the lows of working in a startup where your arse is on the line every day, and as one of the directors, you're having to pay the bills each month, and sometimes it's very difficult even to keep the lights on. Bringing that speed and willingness to make bold choices, that sense of not just can do, but must do, must make decisions, must in each week have made a difference. That urgency is much needed in big business. And I do strongly think that if my haters were to challenge me, I would say that in package all of that up, that energy, the enthusiasm, the willingness to make a difference. That's what digital folks do. That's what e-commerce leaders do, and that's what differentiates the people who are succeeding in this space and those who are just holding on and benefiting from the channel growth.
And I knew this before we set up the interview, that you're very quotable, but I think that's very much one of them. It's not about the can do, it's about the must do. We'll probably make a t-shirt of that and send it to you in the mail. So last question. What happens when marketers all take this must do attitude? They make sure that every week they're making a decision, they're making a difference. What does the world look like then? How does it change for business? How does it change for consumers?
Yeah, well, in business, it speeds up almost to the point where we are running on real-time data. We're able to make choices and make decisions on a minute-by-minute, day-by-day basis, based on real information, real insight. So your staffing, your skill sets, your ability to be able to have a point of reference when you're making a choice, all of that is almost within touching distance now. And if you think that's how banks, it's how the whole of the financial service industry, it's how much of corporate life has worked for many, many years, that's now coming to food manufacturing. And it's taken maybe a little bit longer than we thought it might do, but it really is. It's really coming, and that's going to be an unbelievable shift, an unbelievable change. We still, like many big manufacturers, we still work off annual plans. We sit down and negotiate an annual plan with a retailer. That seems bizarre to me. The rest of the world works on a minute by minute basis. So, we've got a lot of speeding up to do, and I think that's going to be the defining change of the next 3 to 5 years. Speed.
Awesome. So we want to give you one last chance in this interview to just make one call out to the market. One tweet, one phrase, one shout out, whatever it may be, either to your colleagues or to consumers or to your agency partners. What's one thing that you'd like to put out there to get your vision going?
I would summarize it and just say, give yourself the space to make mistakes, but be courageous and make choices. Force yourself to make choices. You won't always get it right. Some choices you make will be the wrong choice, but you have to make choices. You have to be very, very clear why you're doing what you're doing and get it done to a really high standard, measure it and move on and learn from that. And that is a real discipline. That is really brutally tough to do. Day in, day out, week in, week out, and to hold yourselves to account, hold each other to account. That's tough, but that's how differences are made.
That's awesome. It's a perfect segue into our next interview, but I'll keep that. So thank you everyone for listening. We hope this got you thinking, and we'd love to hear your feedback. Drop us an email. Join us again next time for another great guest who will hopefully leave you thinking, I could buy that.